Sarah asked me a bit earlier today, have you done any talks recently? I'm like, I talk every day, girl, for a living. So I don't necessarily feel like, you know, the need to take the stage or anything like that. But Sammy said, do you want to do wildcards tonight? I thought, well, I've never done this, so all right, fine. And then I thought, I've literally prepared nothing to talk about. But what I thought I would talk about is 3 themes that I've been thinking about recently that have helped my life and how I live it. So a little bit of a frame for those of you that don't know me. I think my life is pretty blessed, actually. A lot of people say I'm one of those people that are very lucky. I always seem to land on my feet, and I always seem to attract these opportunities from God knows where. I don't actually know, but they just seem to come in, and it's all kind of, you know, I give the impression, I guess, that things in my life fall into place. And so the 3 themes I want to talk about are maybe the back workings behind why that happens. So theme number 1 is what questions are you asking yourself? And I got into a conversation with someone about this on Saturday night, and she said to me about her sister, and she said, my sister's question, she goes, she's one of life's fixers, you know, and she's always asking, how can I fix this? And I'm like, wow, because that was my primary question. So for those of you that have been to Tony Robbins, who, I mean, I grew up with because my dad had all the tapes around, one of the things he talks about is primary questions. And when I really dug deep into what was mine, it was, how can I fix this? Well, it's not the worst primary question. It's perhaps better than, what are they thinking of me? Do they hate me? What's wrong with me? Or anything like that. But it's also not the most empowering primary question, because for most of my life, I assumed, well, you presuppose that something's broken that you have to fix. And I was always doing that, and maybe that's why I'm a lawyer, because I'm like, how do I fix this? But the darker version of that question is, what's bothering me right now? What do I need to fix right now? And so my mind is going into creating some sort of problem that I have to fix. Now, I think it's really useful for us to connect with what is that question that you keep running in your mind. And maybe it's got you some great results in life. You know, being a lawyer is a great result. Winning people's cases is a great result. And asking that question, how do I fix this, is wonderful in that context. But what does it do for me as a person? It's not necessarily the most relaxing question to be asking yourself before you go to bed at night. What do I need to fix? And what's bothering me right now? So I thought I'd play with changing that up for me. And so the question that I now ask, and under stress, I'm not going to lie, I still go back to how do I fix things, because I think you're born with your primary question. But the trigger now is, how can I appreciate God's perfection in this moment? It's a much more powerful question to be asking myself, because now I'm not presupposing that something's broken. It's like, you know, why is this perfect right now? Why am I right where I need to be? And, you know, that's what works for me. And it kind of meets the needs of my old question, because my old question was looking for my environment and searching for something, you know, and this new question is searching for something, but now I'm searching for what's perfection to me, rather than how do I need to fix it and what's broken. So leading on to that, the second theme, I think, is just to appreciate that everything does happen for a reason, and things happen at the perfect time, just when they're meant to. And, you know, it's very human to get upset about things, but there's not really any point in that. So I'll give an example of how I came to start Inspired, actually. And if I go way back, maybe we're 5 years old, my mum still has a tape of me doing the hour of fun. So I had like one of those little cassette recorders, and I'm talking to myself, telling little stories, trying to entertain people. And, you know, I was actually very shy as a child as well, like one-on-one interaction. Honestly, that still isn't that comfortable for me. I think I told you that the other day, and you were like, what? Yeah. And I'm like, no, like my natural self is actually pretty shy, but I could always stand up on stage because I didn't have to have that one-on-one interaction with people. And again, you know, it makes sense that I was a lawyer. I don't have to interact about myself and my feelings. I can interact about yours, and I'm pretty good at stage stuff. But yeah, you know, that experience of maybe being that young performer, and then in my late teens, early 20s, going to be really experimental with that. So I went to study stand-up comedy. Again, perfect. I'm on stage, not being me. And I ended up starting a comedy club, which really made no sense for somebody that didn't really want to go into comedy, you know. But anyway, we ran a comedy club. It was well rated by Time Out. It had good audiences for a while, and blah blah blah. And then that ended. Yeah. And then you know, from that, I started a jazz club because now I'd got into singing jazz, and we ran that for a few years. And that made a little more sense because jazz is still one of those passions in life. But why did I go and do those things, you know? Well, when I started Inspired, that made a lot more sense because now I was bringing together, you know, that Tony Robbins stuff from I listened to when I was a teenager, to being on stage, to, you know, having that experience now of making people laugh or running events. And it all came in useful, even though it made no sense why I would do that at that time. It was experience that I could still bring in and use to start this. And, you know, here we are 6 years later doing that. And I think whatever environment you find yourself in, you will have those kind of skills and gifts that you can bring to it. So last year I qualified as a body pump instructor. Now, I do not look like a gym instructor, and I do not look like I lift weights every day. I'm very well aware of that. And so when you go into an environment where you literally have all these like really six-packed, ripped people, and you think, right, yeah, I really feel out of my depth right now, I thought, well, what gifts can I bring to this? And the gift was, I know how to talk, and I know how to make people laugh. And, you know, actually I can run a really good class because I know how to work the stage, and the class is a stage. And some of those people that looked amazing, they don't have that. So whatever environment you're in, you've got, you know, those things that have happened for a reason. There's really random things that you've done that you can bring in and show. And then the final thing, I guess, you know, why are things in flow? I think is just trust your gut and follow it. And again, sometimes you do that when things don't make any sense. But I think maybe about 10 years ago, I went to a life purpose hand analyst, and she was great. And she said, you've got, she goes, you've got an amazing gift of logic, and you've got an amazing gift of intuition. And it's like you know things and then you logic them away, but you, in your career, are really leading with that logic. But your growth for you is looking at that intuition and just using that a lot more. And I think now that's kind of exactly how I live my life. And not that people would notice that necessarily in the courtroom, but before I'm going to court, you know, I'm kind of building myself up, I'm visualizing a good result. You know, I did a really big equal pay case last year, which we won against BNP Paribas Bank. So, I mean, that's not easy because they're against a QC and a massive legal team against me, you know. And how do I do that? Well, you know, before I go and getting on the train, actually I was listening to a gratitude meditation, and then that gratitude meditation also has a visualization at the end of it. Have 3 results that you'd like to invite into your life right now, and I'm visualizing success, or I'm visualizing whatever in that moment that I want to. But by the time I get into the courtroom, I've had this morning, rather than thinking, oh, the person sitting next to me on the tube really smells, I'm you know, visualizing things that I want for my life and really centering myself as much as I can, and then going in there. And I also you know, because I'm a God person as well, so I'll say, you know, God, please help me say the right thing, do the right thing, be the right thing, and you know, for the highest and best of everyone in this space right now. So I do that, and then you just trust, and you go, and you know, I actually start every morning like that, you know, from the space of, no, God, just take care of me and lead me where you want me to be. And you know, living my life in that space has led to a lot of amazing things. So, you know, last year was an incredible year on many levels, but you know, what people see in the kind of Facebook realm is that domain of, well, I've won a massive case which The Guardian has described as a very rare win. It started an equal pay movement, which is #MeTooPay. It's got me, my phone ringing off the hook, going, please can you help me with my work? I'm like too busy to deal with it, and I run my own business. I mean, you know, it's like a real gift. And you know, there's been some gifts in my personal life and stuff as well, which has just been incredible. And it's just really coming from that space of trust your gut, lead with your intuition, and fuel that spirit side of you every day, every morning. And I think if you start like that, it will change your life. And I'll end with this. I also end my day like that as well. So a lot of you know about vision boards and stuff. I have a little mind movie, which is you can create it on Animoto or iMovie or whatever, and it's just a collection of words and images that you watch, and you write them in the present tense. And with that, you're supposed to watch it 3 times a day. So I watch it 3 times before I go to bed. It takes all of 9 minutes. And there we go. You know, it's amazing what life has brought in just by starting my day with a gratitude and visualizing what I want, and ending my day with that. So that's what I personally do. And, you know, I think it just, you know, it's a stage in my life now that feels very at peace. And it's a lovely place to be. So, yeah.